Adamu Adamu, the former Minister of Education. Malam, on behalf of my colleagues, I want to welcome you to the Senate chambers.
Thank you, sir.
We already have your CV, and I will urge you to highlight those issues that you feel very strongly about, that this Senate needs to take note of, and those things that we think are important but are not in the CV for the benefit of the Senate in this process of screening and eventual confirmation. So you are invited to address the Senate.
Thank you very much. Distinguished Senate President, distinguished Deputy Senate President, distinguished senators, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, sir, for inviting me, but I think I made the CV quite short, noting only the very important facts. So I'm quite happy as it is, sir. I don't have anything to add.
Senator Uche Lillian Ekunife.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Uche Lillian Ekunife. Mr. President, I represent Anambra Central. I'm from Anambra State. First of all, let me congratulate the Minister for the nomination by Mr. President. Having been the Minister of Education for the past 4 years, I would like to ask you, can you just tell the Senate what is the assessment in the state of public primary schools in Nigeria? If you had assessed
State of
the
primary.
public primary school in Nigeria, how do you assess that in terms of your performance and your achievement for the past 4 years? My second question is this. What specific steps have you taken?
What?
Specific steps, actions,
Yes.
have you taken or you intend to take to make sure that the academic curriculum in our primary schools, especially computer education, is in line with global academic standards? These are the two questions. Thank you.
Senator Samegu.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to congratulate the minister, my colleague, before, for being re-nominated by Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
It shows you have done well. But Mr. Minister, I have just two short questions. You know that open universities all over the world is used as a means of accelerating or increasing tertiary education because of the inability of the conventional university to admit all that would want to enter the university. What do you think should be done by the NUC to improve on the curriculum, the conditions that will enhance the quality of open universities, considering their limitations now? The second question is a very short one. The the crave by politicians.
Grave?
I said the crave now
Okay, yes.
by politicians to ensure that appointment of just vice chancellors of universities located in their area reflects their geographical area is stopped. Because I know that federal universities all over universities all over the world are international institutions. Vice chancellor can be appointed from anywhere. That's how it used to be before. But now, universities in Bauchi will make sure that somebody from Bauchi becomes the vice chancellor. University in Owerri will make sure that Owerri man or people from the south becomes a vice chancellor. That has become very current now, and that is not what it's supposed to be. Put their position on it to make sure that qualified vice chancellors, irrespective of where they come from, are appointed to become vice chancellors. Thank you very much.
Please, you are okay. Senator Oriolo Aderele Adeye.
Thank you, my president, my leaders here present, distinguished senators. I want to congratulate the nominee, Honorable Adamu Adamu, being nominated this time around again shows that you have performed well in the first term. There is a question that was asked the other time. Somebody was asked to mention the problem we are facing, but this is a very good place to ask that question because you have been in the education sector before. I will try to give you the answer and how to tackle the problem. That is what I want from you.
Thank you very much.
The answer is this. The problem, by my own note, is indiscipline. The problem we are facing in this country, you will see that we are sitting here since to treat one systemic failure or the other. In education sector, in aviation, in security, everything. But I discovered that the problem is that of indiscipline. How do you want to tackle the problem of indiscipline in this country? Because if you note, if you go down the history lane, the only two governments that we can say has really made serious impact along this direction and where we are able to tackle corruption is when the present president, Buhari Diagbon regime, when he was in government, you know, the issue of indiscipline was tackled and corruption was a little bit tackled. The same thing, the little time Muritala spent in government, that 6 months, he used, I'm giving him the lead way. For the 6 months, we are able to tackle the indiscipline. So my question is that what will be your proposal or suggestion to how we can tackle the issue of indiscipline in this country? Thank you.
You can ask, you can respond to the questions.
Mr. Senate President, with your permission, let me start with the last question. Even though the senator has very helpfully answered it, he's asking, how do I intend to tackle the problem of indiscipline in Nigeria? I think this is a question for everybody here. Senators, the executive branch, and the criminal justice system. And it is something that goes deep in the psyche of the Nigerian. I believe, unfortunately, the examples we cited, Muratala and General Muhammad Buhari then as military head of state, I think the tactics used will suggest to me that nobody will succeed in fighting indiscipline in this country and corruption until he uses extrajudicial means, simply because we don't like obeying orders. I think probably I should stop here, because whether it is ethical orientation as practiced during the time of Shagari, or whether it is democracy at Koboko Point as it was done in Singapore, because Singapore was like Nigeria before, but they had a government that would not tolerate it. And the methods they used were very draconian. And I believe now it is one of the most disciplined societies in the world, not in the third world. So probably that is the only way. I think it is for the government, just like we have now taken the issue of fighting corruption. Corruption and indiscipline should be fought together by this government. And I hope the National Assembly will try to help Mr. President when it comes to the war on corruption. I believe so far this government has fought the glaring cases that have come out or that have been detected. But what we need to do is to enact laws and then be very, very ready to implement them so that they will fight systemic corruption. Because while the government is fighting people who have committed corruption, confiscating property and jailing some, corruption is still going on. Therefore, I think what you need to do is to devise means of fighting the corruption that is in the system. So I hope I have answered your question, sir. And my respected, he's not my colleague, my respected elder, distinguished Sam Egu, has asked about the appointment of vice chancellors. And I know what he means, because I'm always under pressure by people insisting that the vice chancellor must be somebody from their area. Unfortunately, this is no longer in the hands of the university, in the hands of the ministry, because since the time the universities fought for autonomy and they got it, I think even the president has no hand in the election or selection of vice chancellor. I think the process is clear enough. When there is a vacancy, it is advertised, people apply, and then they are called for interview, and the university council selects the vice chancellor. Before, they used to select 3, so that they will send it to the minister will send it to the president for selection. Now it is just for our information. So actually, I think we have passed that stage. The question is for the councils to answer, and I think most of the councils are doing the best they can. And on the issue of open universities, I think it is now the trend in the world. It's just not a question of what the NUC is going to do. It's what the ministry is going to do in order to expand the resources available to NOUN, National Open University of Nigeria. And I think, as I said, the trend all over the world, if you take most of the universities that are opening now, private or state universities, their population at best is 5,000, some up to 10,000. But the National Open University now, the population is around 500,000, I think 400 or something. Therefore, it is our own desire and policy that we should expand the resources available to the National Open University. The first questioner is on primary education. Madam, the question of primary education, I must admit before this House, is a sad story. And when I came as minister, I assembled a group of experts. We sat down to look at all the problems facing education. We came up with 10 points. And the first is out of school children. And the second is question of basic and secondary education, which is what you are asking. I think I don't know actually what to tell the nation, because it is the linchpin of education, and it is the one that is most neglected. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me now, as I answer you, it is not the responsibility of the federal government. And I tried my best to get the states on board through the National Council, on the National Economic Council. So I agree with you that the situation of primary education is very, very bad. But what should be done is perhaps the Riot Act should be read to states. The Federal Ministry of Education has done the best. We have done the study. Just before I handed over the affairs of the ministry, we concluded a study. We have about 10,475,031 out-of-school children in Nigeria, and it is still the highest. But the work to reduce this is for the states. And the federal government is not in a position to force the states to do so. So I think the National Assembly, the states probably should take this matter to the National Council of States and the National Council of Education, where governors are. And I think the nation should decide, because whatever the Federal Ministry of Education does concerning university education, concerning technical education in our polytechnics, will all come to naught without a very good foundation from the primary schools. Madam, I have answered your question.
Distinguished Senator Ezekiel Ayuba Dimka.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Ezekiel Ayuba Dimka, representing Plateau Central. Congratulations, the nominee.
Thank you, sir.
In the first place, I have one single question which I would like you to respond. There is unemployment vis-a-vis this sort of redundancy in this country. What can you do if you are appointed as Minister of Education?
Minister of what, sir?
Education. What economic policies do you suggest to improve on what we are facing now? What's the question?
Thank you, sir. Where answer it, sir?
Yeah.
Senator Ahmed Anjuma Goje.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, President. I have two questions.
Yes, sir.
Number one, I looked through your CV and I've seen a situation where you are doing two very, very important and vital duties simultaneously. Apart from being a minister, according to your CV, since 1999 to date, you have also been a speech writer and special assistant to General Muhammadu Buhari,
Yes, sir.
according to your CV.
Yes, sir.
So I wonder how you combine this very, very important job, running a big ministry, a Ministry of Education, as well as also doing the vital job of speech writing to Mr. President. How do you do that? Let us know. That's number one. Number two, the issue of strike in Nigerian universities
Yes.
has been a recurring decimal for many, many years. And for this reason, many parents who can afford it take their children outside Nigeria or to private universities. Being a minister for 4 years, is there any way, in your opinion, that you think we can permanently remove this idea of strike? Because this is very, very peculiar to Nigeria. Most countries of the world, you hardly hear of strike lasting 2 months, 3 months, 6 months in universities. But Nigeria is common. Is there any way you think that we can, what government can do to do away with this strike, so that the parents and the children will be comfortable to the Nigerian universities? Thank you.
Senator Ade Dayo Adeye.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I want to commend the nominee for your nomination by the president. I believe it is a measure of the president's estimation of your contribution that made him to nominate you. I also noticed in your CV, and I know you by reputation, that you are a renowned journalist. So it's not too surprising that you are also a speechwriter to the president. I only want to say whether this second role you are taking up as a speechwriter is distracting you from the main work of the Minister of Education. That's number one. But the issue that bothers me mainly is the issue of the number of children out of school in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And you have been minister for 4 years.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask, what policy measures have you undertaken to ensure that this figure is brought down drastically?
Yes.
Number two is that if one of your predecessors in that ministry, the late Professor Bab Kafunwa, had once advocated that children should be taught in primary schools in their local languages. And today we had the Minister of Science, former Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Bunaya Ono, also saying that children learning two things at the same time may make it very difficult for them to really grasp distance, and that it will be better for the development of science and technology if children are taught in their own local languages. I want to know your perspective on this matter. Do you believe, and is there any policy in place or in the works for children to be taught in their local languages at the primary school level? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can answer the questions.
This time, with your permission to Senate President, I would like to start from the last question. Professor Bab Swafuma, may his soul rest in peace, certainly pioneered that. And in order to cut the answer short, sir, there is now in the works, almost finished. Perhaps if we had stayed there 2 months, a new national language policy would have been taken to the Executive Council, and it will address the issue you are saying. In addition, it will even probably try to make some very great foreign languages compulsory, so that at least we'll be able to converse with our neighbors, in addition to having children learn in their mother tongue. The decision is at least the first 3 years of learning should be in one's mother tongue, so that he will not have to have the added burden of having to learn a language that is foreign and then to learn new facts in that language. Some are even saying that perhaps the entirety of basic education, that is primary education and junior secondary school, should be taught in the mother tongue. So, sir, such a policy is already there in the ministry. I believe the next minister will find it is one of the things that will be waiting for him on the table, and I hope he will do the necessary. I'm very sorry, Senator, the first question is not very clear. You are asking what I have done. In respect of what? The first question.
In terms of the number of children out of school,
Yes.
okay. 14 million.
The figure I gave you, which was very exact, 10,475,031 was the exact number of out-of-school children in February 2018. And then from that time, there was an enrollment drive by about 6 states. Sorry, in addition, there was 6,749,000 children out of junior secondary school, a total of 16, almost 17 million children. But an enrollment drive within that period, to the time the census was done, was able to reduce the number by 4 million. So actually, some of the states are doing what the ministry is saying. It is not actually for the Federal Ministry of Education to do this, but we give the guidance and we give intervention when it is necessary, and I think it is succeeding. Senator Goji has asked about strikes. So even though we don't have anybody to blow our trumpet, I think this administration has had the least number of strikes. And then also the strikes that had been shortest, because immediately as we declare strike, we meet, you find that, I know sometimes you had to intervene, but they always call them off. And I think also I have I don't know that it is the distinction or notoriety of being the Minister of Education who sees things sometimes in the way as he does. And I think that is all that is needed in order to have strikes forever gone. Number one, there is a question of funding. And I would like to tell you that there is a funding plan right now on the table of the next Minister of Education. If it is adopted, I believe there will be no strike in Nigeria again, because it will solve all the problems that ASU has been pursuing government over. And sir, distinguished Senator Goji, you asked about me being speechwriter to the president. Sir, I started to become speechwriter to the president in 1994, and officially as a special assistant in TED Fund. I was doing it up to 1999 when he left. And then when I also left immediately after him, I became his unofficial speechwriter until he became president. And now that he's president, I think his speech is a collective, collaborative effort. So it is something that I think anybody could help do. I don't think if I were to do it will interfere with my ministerial duties. But even if it will, sir, I think it will be such a small time. And in any case, the power that I'm exercising in the ministry, the power of the president, which he lent to me, if he said I should use part of it to write his speeches, sir, I think it should be okay. Distinguished Senator Hezekiah Dimka. Sir, I didn't hear the question very well. You're asking of redundancy?
Yeah. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my question is that is too much unemployment and redundancy in this country, especially private sector.
Yes.
What are your economic policies you think you can suggest if you are made
Yes,
Minister for Education?
I get it, sir. Sir, since in the Ministry of Education we don't have economic policies, what we do have are policies about technical education, vocational education. And I believe if the government is going to do it, the moment we start doing that, I don't think we'll be producing any unemployed people again. So it is, and it is under one of the 10 pillars I told you, there is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education, and then there is TVET, technical vocational education and training. These are the two things that we are pushing, and I believe they are the things that pull out all other societies out of unemployment. And I believe with due care, if we do it here, we'll be fully employed in Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
Senator Balana Allah, Senator Matthew Rogide, and Senator Diri Doi. In that order, please.
Well, this Mr. Nominee, you have answered part of the question that I wanted to ask, but I want to build upon it because I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the base, the educational base that does not support the pyramid that we are supposed to build for this country.
Yes.
My concern is you have expressed the hopelessness of federal government in its inability to force the state
to do the needful for the purpose of supporting, let me put it this way, the educational pyramid of this country. Is there a way, because I'm trying to compare what we saw in 2018 as the budget for education in Ghana compared to its population, and then what we have compared again to our population. I think more straight to the point is the fact that if you look at the number of school children in Ghana and the one you have given to us here too, all that it did is to reinforce your earlier statement that the states have not been really forthcoming as far as the issue of supporting the base is concerned. But you see, we have a commitment as a country, as a government, to see how we can turn things around for the better.
Yes, sir.
And it is part of that commitment that you told us that at least after that very scaring figure, some states were encouraged to do some beef of, and about 4 million was reduced from that very horrendous number. Is there a way? And between me and you know that there is so much wastage.
Yes.
As far as the states are concerned.
Yes.
We all know this.
Yes, sir.
Is there a way you think the Senate, in our new determination to turn things around, the National Assembly in particular, can help in trying to address this particular problem? Because my fear is that if we do not have the base that we have, and then we continue to go the way we are going, whether we can validly say that we are not running a highly dislocated educational system, which will end up being very, very harmful to the society. So is there a way you think you can suggest to the Senate how we can intervene to see how this thing can be redirected? Thank you.
Senator Matthew Rogide.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Matthew Rogide, Edo South. First, let me lend my voice to, congratulate you on your nomination, Mr. President. I think the questions that will be thrown at you will not really be too many, because education is supposed to be one of the cornerstones or pillars for development of any society.
Yes.
And if a man too has to be assessed for whatever duties or responsibilities is going to be charged with, probably look back at what, of course, he has done in the past. When you came in 2015 for this same confirmation hearing, some of us have thought that because of your background, you were probably going, your background that is journalism, you were probably going to be thrown, to that office. But when you were sent to education, and of course having followed to, the trend in the country, we have found out very clearly that we have not made any advancements. NECO, WAEC results that we still see, we get every year, we still have less than 30%, pass. And some time ago, one of your predecessors in office, basically Mrs. Obiageli Ezekwesili, was Minister of Education. And after her tenure, she was taken to task that what is responsible for the mass failure that we have been recording. Yes, I'm going to ask. Of course, she too, had tried to explain. It seems we are not moving forward. Now the question is, do you think it's a matter of policy alone, or funding, or the both? Something basically we are getting wrong in education. What do you think that is? Number two, in the Senate, the Ethics, Privilege and Public Petition Committee was inundated with petitions that came from the students of the Open University that were in the law faculty. You know, of course, we called the DG of the Advanced Legal Education, who is responsible for the law school here in Buhari. And the students till today are in despair. What are we going to do about them? Because open education, system is affording them the opportunity of being trained or getting tertiary education. Till today, a lot of them have been trained. What are you going to do about it so that they can be incorporated to go to law school? I think the other things I wanted to ask my distinguished colleagues have asked. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Why are you happy?
I may forget it.
Senator Diri Doye.
Thank you, Mr. President and Chairman of this committee. My name remains Senator Diri Doye, representing Bayelsa Central Senatorial District. My first question is about the very rich CV that we have gone through. But sir, the only supporting document that I find in the CV is the NYSC. There is no other certificate that has been attached. Very rich CV, I said very rich CV. And I'm saying that what I can see here attached. Mr. President, I believe I'm protected. Thank you. So that's one. Then two, as the immediate past Minister of Education, education we all know is on the concurrent list. Are you satisfied with the state of education in Nigeria? I'm coming. If yes, the reasons that you gave, even here on this floor, don't you think that there is still more that you can do, assuming you are posted back to the Ministry of Education? Then, I'm coming, please.
Order, please. Distinguished Senator Diri Doye, you know, we have a policy that was adopted at the beginning of this exercise. You have a maximum of 2 questions to ask. I think you have exhausted the questions. Now we can ask the nominee to respond to the questions raised. No, it's too late. It's too late. Honourable Minister, you can respond to the questions. You can respond.
Order.
You can respond to the questions.
Yes, sir. Senator Balana Allah. No, I'm saying you asked 3 questions. I'm sorry, sir. You are asking whether there are things that should be done. And I said the Senate can do 3 things. That is my suggestion to the Senate. But the practicality of the suggestions is for the Senate to determine. Number 1, since you said it is concurrent list, and the President hasn't got the power to compel states to do what he wants on education, you can give him the powers. If small emergency or anything, I believe the Senate can get a solution in that direction. It's a constitutional issue. The other one, when Mr. President lays the budget here, I believe he's going to give more money to education, but you can insist that it should not be less than 15%. And I believe you'll be helping in that way. The third one, sir, is a question of will on the state government. I'm sure if you turn to your left, there is a governor sitting here who is called Shetima Kasim. I think just as he was leaving, the things he did to education, I was so surprised. And if all governors will do that, I think probably we'll stop complaining, sir. No, sir, I'm sure there are many other governors, but I think one example should be enough. Yes. Okay, somebody asked about my background and then the ministry to which I was sent. Sir, I believe, and this is my opinion, and I think probably it is not wrong, the duty of a minister is not to go and do in his ministry what he has studied in school. It is to go and manage people and then manage resources. Sir, the question is, if you were to consider power was given to a lawyer in this administration, and science and technology, or rather communications, was given to another lawyer, and I believe they did very well. So if you can manage people and then you can manage resources, and then you will do some probity, I believe you will achieve results. So it is just the management of people. And there is, in fact, a saying, and there is proof, if you like, it can be given, that if you are a specialist and you are sent to a ministry, other specialities will suffer. For instance, if you take an oncologist, a doctor who is an oncologist, and you send him to the Ministry of Health as minister, most of the budget will go buying oncology equipment and so on and so forth. I think this has been proved through so many years. And Senator Matthews, your second question. Your question is, I think it has already been answered, because it is not a matter of policy that education is still the way it is. I think it is the will to implement what states are supposed to do, so that there will be laying a strong foundation upon which the federal government can build.
Mr. President, we are running out of time
Distinguished from
for the nominee.
Bayelsa Central, you are asking the CV. I would like to apologize if there are some deficiencies in the CV, but sir, you can prove it even here. The secondary school I attended, I think there is Hezekiah Dimka, who is my classmate. He can attest to the fact that I attended there and I passed my WASC. And there is another person you are going to see today, Dingyadi. I believe Senator Wamako can find out from him. We attended SBS and ABU at the same time, and I got my degree. And I don't know whether Dele Olojode is here, because he was my classmate in Columbia University in New York. We graduated together. So, sir, I assure you that if you require it, I can go and bring it. It was just an oversight, sir. Sir?
You should take a bow and go. Take a bow.
Yeah, the answer is 10:30. Can we run?
Yeah. Take a bow and go.
Distinguished colleagues, is it the wish of the Senate that the nominee takes a bow and go? Those in favor of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. But before, well, Honourable Minister, I had wanted to make some comments. Before you take the bow, we strongly feel that we should work together in the educational sector. You have tried to reduce the number of out-of-school children. I think you have taken out about 2 or 3 million. 4 million. We want to see a situation where we are going to take out the remaining 10 million in the next 4 or 5 years. If it is possible, it's something we have passion for. We believe that this is not only an educational problem, but a security challenge to us. And those of us who are privileged, majority of us here, people from very humble background, I am for one. and I'm privileged to go to school. Probably I would have been like any of those kids outside of school. And it is our responsibility as leaders to ensure that we do anything and everything possible to get these children out of school, back to school or into schools. That will require a lot of funding, a lot of recruitment of teachers and training and retraining. I think we should have the determination to do those things that will get these out of school children into schools in our interest. So we pray that you are back to your ministry, if that is the choice of Mr. President, and we hope that you will be available to work with us, our committees, to ensure that we achieve this set goal and target. Thank you very much. We can take a bow. Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, we have the one and only first